If only I had known that this man would have treated me like this. If only I knew how hard it would be to find a job in this market. If only I had known, if only I had known that this bank was about to go under. If only I had known. If only I had known that this child was going to be so troublesome. If only I had known that this marriage would be so chaotic. These are words that describe the regrets and the thoughts and the reflections of so many people every single day. They touch on every life. I don't believe there's a person alive today who has not looked back in reflection and said, if I had known this then, I would have done something differently. It is a reflection. It is also remorse. But it is also a lesson. Because we come to a point in life where we begin to realize that we cannot know everything. We walk through life like somebody walking through a landmine. Because you put your foot down, and sometimes it could be because of your own mistakes. It could be because of your own lack of studying a situation. Maybe you didn't listen. Maybe you didn't see the signs along the way. But maybe it's just because the information was not there. You did not know. This is a standard feature of life. I have a good friend who not long ago came to me to share some very good news. She said to me that she had been offered a job in a very good company, a job that would elevate her career, a job that would give her a boost, give her more money. And so after we discussed this, she went ahead and resigned from her job and took up this new position. I met her just a few weeks ago, barely a month into the job, and I said, how is the new job going? And she said, with tears rolling down her eyes, she said, the company went under. It's a true story. If only she had known that this company was hemorrhaging, was trying to find ways to get itself back, but was trying to hire some good people who could maybe help to turn it around. Here she was. She's saying, if only I had known. I want to share with you a personal story. A couple of years ago, I went to see my eye doctor, just for a regular checkup. I was thinking that maybe I need some new glasses for driving and this kind of thing. And the doctor checked my eyes, and after a while, she shakes her head and says, you're going to have to go for some more tests. And I said, why? It's because I have a feeling that you have an eye disease that is eroding your eyesight. I went through these additional tests, and by the time I'd finished, I found out that I had severely eroded eyesight permanently, and that it would continue unless I had surgery. And I said, how could I have stopped this? Is there something I could have done? She said, if we had known earlier, we could have done something. How many times have I met somebody who has gone to a doctor, has gone to a hospital, and is told, if you had come earlier, we could have resolved this situation. I wish we had known. So you see, we look back and we wonder, how would life have been had we had perfect knowledge and perfect vision? But when I look forward, when I turn around to look ahead, I realize it's actually no different. Because life is unpredictable. We walk through life without knowing what you're going to step on. Yes, we make mistakes. Yes, we do certain things. But who knew on that fateful day that terrorists would come into Westgate and cause such havoc to the lives of men and women and children? Who could have known? Life is unpredictable, and in fact, we could say that life has no guarantees. Or does it? I want to put it to you that there's one thing that I can guarantee you that you can put in the bank. As unpredictable as life is, there's one thing that I can guarantee you. And I'm going to tell you a little story and then lead to this. This is what I want to leave you with. It happened a few weeks ago, perhaps a month now. there was a young gentleman that I was looking for, not so young, I suppose, somebody I'd known maybe 5 or 6 years ago. He was an acquaintance, a professional in the IT industry. I was looking for him because an opportunity had come across my desk in which I was looking for somebody who could be able to help me make sense of it and to see whether this was something that was viable or not. So I looked for him. I had not seen him in so many years. I didn't even know if he was around. I'd heard that he'd gone out of the country for a period. And so I went on Facebook. Lo and behold, we were Facebook friends. And I sent him a personal message and said, "Where are you?" And he immediately replied and said, "I'm in Nairobi." So we planned and had a meeting. We met in town here in one of the coffee houses. It was a meeting in which we were becoming reacquainted and getting to know each other again. And I could see he was unwell. And I said, "What is the problem?" And he said, I'm not feeling well. I've traveled and I've just come from the doctor, and I believe I may have picked up something on the trip. So we continued to talk. And my thought was, if I had known that you were unwell, I would have postponed this meeting. It wasn't that urgent. Well, that was not where it ended. We parted our ways. In fact, I dropped him on my way to where I was going, only to discover that that night, that very evening, he died. Now, what would rush through your mind? First of all, somebody you pull out of 5 or 6 years of not being in touch, and he dies on the day you meet? What would I have done? What would I have said? How would I have interacted with him if I had known? If I had known that I was probably one of the last people who was going to have a conversation with this man. If only I had known. And the message I want to leave with you, and this is why I was saying that there's something that I can guarantee you. That particular experience left me with a feeling that life is very short. And if there's one thing I know for a fact, is that I'm going to die. This is a guarantee. I cannot guarantee you that the investment you just made is going to make money. You know, people pay analysts and professionals to project the future, to tell them how things are going to be, and they still make mistakes. They still have losses. You cannot guarantee what is coming, but one thing you can guarantee is that we all will die. And so I ask myself, if this is something I can take to the bank, I can guarantee that I'm going to die. Why don't I die doing good? Why don't I die leaving a trail behind me that is useful for other people? Why would I die doing evil or fighting or doing things that actually don't add benefit to anybody? Somebody asked me recently, have you considered the number of rich people who have died in Kenya alone in the last couple of years? And one particular person, I won't mention the name, was mentioned in that conversation where he said, I wonder how much so-and-so left behind. I said, you know, I believe he left all of it. He didn't take any of it with him. I want to challenge you today to make a decision that although you don't know what is around the corner, you can control how you live your life. You can make somebody's life a little bit better today. You can decide that I'm going to put a smile on somebody's face who needs a smile. I'm going to reach out and touch somebody because they need to be touched. I'm going to give a gift to someone whom I know can never pay me back. And I'll close with this paraphrase of something that I've used in this program before, but I believe was in a different context. It's just a little quote, and I'll sit down. It is that when the curtain of my life is finally drawn, when my story comes to an end, the crowns of my achievement will not be the businesses that I managed, the money that I made, the papers I wrote, the projects that I started. but the people that I personally and permanently touched along the way. Thank you.